carried around this thing right here. This is a beer can.
This is only 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, this is 5 or 6 years old. But you had like a 10-year-old one before that.
I did, yeah.
That's crazy. Friends, welcome back. I am Jason. I'm sitting here with my buddy Reuben, and Reuben is the master of ultralight camping, minimalistic camping, right? He has traveled the world. He spends more days outside every year than anybody I know. How many days a year, on average, do you think you spend outside camping?
I couldn't tell you.
Just guess. Give me a number, Reuben.
Wow, this is a hard one. At least 100 and something.
Wow. So 100 and something days per year he spends outside camping out in a similar fashion that you're doing right now.
Yeah, something like that.
Similar.
Yeah,
Maybe not exactly, but yeah. Maybe in a hammock sometimes, depending on the location. But he's got it kind of down to a science. He knows to the ounce, to the gram, how much everything he has weighs. It's ridiculous. He's kind of obsessive about it, I think.
Gram weenie. That's what they call people like us.
You're a gram weenie.
Yeah. We can't.
Even to the point where he's like using this. How many times have you been using this cup right here? Is this?
Not a lot. Maybe only 50 times.
he's used this Quaker oatmeal cup 50 times
as a coffee cup or whatever.
As a coffee cup.
It's really light. And
one of his primary utensils here. Yeah, which I think is really cool. So you've got a lot of experience and a lot of insight into what it takes to live really simply, and I want to hear about what you do and why you do it, and all the details that you want to share.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I love backpacking and hiking. I was camping all my life with my grandfather and my cousin, my brother, and I really didn't like I loved the experience and the knowledge and just getting out there idea, but I really hated the setup, the process.
Mm-hmm.
And the heavy gear was never for me. Even when I was young, I was like, that's a big tent, it's all muddy, put it away and carry like 20 bags to the car and big cast iron skillets. Thought I would change it.
You got time for that?
Time for this.
Yeah, come on,
you'd be
man.
Crazy. So I really wanted to go lighter, and I went like 75 pounds base gear.
75 pounds.
I was like younger, and I wanted everything, but I think a big bag makes people pack their fears. If you're afraid of one thing, you're going to pack it with more of that, and just in case, or what if this happens? And you do that, you're not going to have much fun, and you're more of a burden than you are I would say, be a participant in nature and not just be looking for camp, because people with a lot of heavy bags, they just want to look for a camp, when if you went a little lighter, you'd go a little further, you'd see a lot more, you'd do yourself a lot of good with not damaging your joints. So I thought, I need to go lighter. So things have evolved over lots of mistakes, many mistakes. You need the mistakes, right? Yeah. Because you don't learn much from your successes.
Yeah, I always say, you suffer one of two ways, or a combination of one of two ways. You can suffer on the way there because you're burdened with all this crap, or you can suffer upon arrival because you don't have all the things that you need. But you've done a really good job, I think, of minimizing the suffering upon arrival and like eliminating the suffering on the journey, right?
I think a lot of people have this idea where ultralight backpacking is, I would say, suffering. They like to say suffering. When I camp, I spend a lot of time in different camps with different people in different places, and they'll take one look at my pack and my gear and start offering me like, hey, I got this extra poncho, I got a wool blanket if you need it. And I know I'm always going to sleep better than them. I'm a warm sleeper, so I can carry less and get away with stuff. But I think I've also made more mistakes than them. And sometimes we say in classes that I help out with, maybe the only difference between us and you, being the students, is that they've made 100 mistakes. Yeah. But I promise you, we've made thousands. Yeah. And that's more important, the mistakes, than your successes. Mm-hmm. So by being wet and maybe not having the right insulation, and just a little, you're not really putting yourself in danger, just a little, you're a little uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. And that's okay. So I just kind of fine-tuned it for what works well for me. Yeah. So from the camping thing, being a backpacker, I had like lightweight stuff. I'm like, this is cool. And some of my buddies were like, well, what happens if the pack just rolls down the hill? The scenario people like to say, what if a bear comes in and you got to run away? And I thought, I don't know what to do. I got knives, but what am I going to do with these knives?
What do I do if all this is
done?
Yeah.
I mean, because you can have the greatest gear in the world, but if you don't have the sense enough to use it, it's useless. Right. So then I started to get into skills. Like, I better learn some stuff and take some classes and do some stuff. And then it was really, for me, it was a marriage of take less gear, and you have some some skills, to take along with you on the journey. And the combination of that has really helped me feel very confident to go anywhere.
Yeah. And not worry.
With just a little bit of gear, knowing I can work it out.
Yeah.
And it's probably not for everybody. So ultralight backpacking used to be like 20 pounds of base gear.
What do you got now? What's your base?
So after ultralight, you go down to like super ultralight and a little bit. That's like around 10 pounds or something base gear.
Yeah.
Not no food, no nothing you have to replenish like batteries. Just base gear. And then I got down to like 5 pounds a while back.
Wow.
But I'm around the 4 to 4.5 for most seasons.
Yeah.
I'm a warm sleeper. I can get away with it. I take layers. I don't take a lot of cotton. Maybe bandana.
Yeah.
All these little tricks that you hear about. Well, they actually work.
So here's the thing about ultralight, right? So this is what most people think, and me included.
Hyper ultralight.
You are extreme ultralight.
It's
hyper
a bit
ultralight.
extreme. There's even a lot of backpackers that don't do that kind of
Right.
gear load out.
Yeah. So,
It's okay.
but the kind of the idea, or maybe it's a misconception. You tell me what you think. Ultralight typically means, and we'll get to part of it in a second, but ultralight typically means really light,
Yes.
really expensive, right?
Right.
And not very durable. What do you think about that?
Well, there's truth to that.
Yeah.
I could show somebody how to get down to the kind of weight I'm using and not spend that kind of money on the big brands, because it's really not about that. It's about the properties of what you use and little stuff. There's little tricks, but again, a lot of people do it more as a fun recreational thing, and I think that's amazing and great.
Yeah.
I do it a little bit more full time, so just to be practical, like with this kind of weight or this material, I can maybe substitute it for this. And then I started to write articles, because I write for a lot of adventure magazines,
Right.
and outdoors things, where I like to tell people how you can kind of achieve that kind of stuff, but not really break the bank.
Right.
And like, I don't really care.
Your gear is not like crazy expensive stuff.
No, and it's not like
a lot of it's
No, it's-
free. Like
Yeah, or something you have.
Yeah.
I think that you and me share the same idea. Like, we don't really want to be toting around brands, and like, we use what works and what we like.
Yeah.
And I think everybody really needs to do that too.
Right.
So you could spend a whole lot of money for a rig and then you feel, but okay, I got all this stuff, but how often are you really going to use
Right.
it? I use it more than people, so some of the stuff maybe has more wear and tear, and it's a good idea to have like another backup, not with you, but another alternative. Or like, I don't think I want to use that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to use this, and you use something simple. Simple is best. I don't
Yeah.
care what you do. If you're playing tennis, you're playing marbles or boxing, and you're in the 15th round of a 10-round fight, you're going for jab cross. You're not going for anything crazy.
Yeah.
You're going for simplicity.
Stick to the basics.
Right, basics. Yeah. So
I really think what you do is cool. The disposable stuff that everyone throws away, like you just keep using and using and using. You've got a Ziploc bag that you've had since like 2007.
That's true. I do. It's got a little duct tape on it, but it works just fine.
It's still good.
Yeah, I'm the guy who I will take my Ziploc bags after a trip that maybe I had some food in or something.
Yeah.
Turn them inside out, give them a good wash, hang them to dry.
That's awesome.
Get right back up.
Yeah, you're funny.
It's
Yeah.
funny. I can only attribute that to a couple of things, and I would say being resilient, suffering. It's good to do it early on in life. I think suffering, I don't think like people need to go out there and suffer during a trip. I think if you've ever had suffering at one point in your life, that transfers over to something else, like mental toughness.
Yeah.
So my brother and I grew up for a short time living in a car with my mom, and that kind of makes you rethink everything and reuse everything.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the chance where I can have this, I can have that, but I know I can make do with that.
Right.
Right.
You could
So-
do with less.
Right, and that mentality makes you say, let's just camp here. And maybe, you and I would say, why don't we camp? Let's see what's over there and camp.
Yeah.
But if you have a big old giant pack,
No, I'm not going there.
yeah, this is good enough.
Up there? No, I'm not
You
doing
might just
that.
want to, when you have that much gear
Yeah.
or something, you might try, this.
You
thing
just have a
called-
way less.
Let's just plop.
Yeah, I mean,
But they don't know how to plop yet.
yeah. Well, that's advanced.
We'll get into that.
That's a separate video. We'll talk about plopping later. It's super advanced.
It is.
Yeah, a lot of people like are overburdened with a whole bunch of heavy gear and stuff, and they end up not enjoying the activities that we like to do because of all the burdens that they have. Like you said, they pack their fears. I don't want to be cold. I don't want to be hungry.
Yeah.
I don't want to. What if this happens and I don't have this? Like, and they become so overwhelmed with all that crap that they don't have fun anymore.
I I agree.
And they spent $1 million on it, and then they have regret.
Some $1.1 million.
Yeah, that's right.
But like you said about burdens, people also feel burdened with, I don't have that yet.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I guarantee you can always replace that with a lighter weight, cheaper alternative.
Yeah.
But then, if I'm a fan of what works.
Yeah.
But you might also feel like, but that guy's got that. I don't want to be the guy with like, I don't have that
the cheap stuff.
Brand.
Yeah.
And I've never cared about that kind of stuff.
And like the whole thing, like you need this thing, and it's got to be this brand, or you can't go do this activity. Like that's a bunch of bull. Like almost never is that a real thing.
Not for people who do it a lot.
Yeah.
You realize the little things like that, they don't matter, and what you think is a little,
Yeah.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh yeah.
I just raised my hand for the.
You got a question?
Yeah, I've got a question back here in the back.
You in the back.
Do you choose things that you can replace if you need to? Like, that. What is that thing about it? Is it an oatmeal deal?
Yeah, this is like an instant oatmeal.
Do you intentionally pick that because it's like generally everywhere, like at convenience stores and stuff? Do you choose things that are replaceable in that kind of manner?
Well, more of like the properties. For example, like this is kind of flexible and won't get damaged, like a paper cup would, and it has that kind of magical film. I can only call it that, where we put scalding water and
It's
then
a little
you can still hold
insulated.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many other things you can use for that, but if this goes flying away or burns up accidentally, I'm not going to be heartbroken.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the mashed potato bit. It's more like a bowl.
Your whole kitchen set over there.
Right. But the idea is just to use something that, it is disposable, but at the same time, it's really crazy light too.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense to me. I love the trail and the trip more than, I wouldn't say more than the camp, but I don't want the gear I have to limit me. So going really light, it's just very practical. And again, it's just like a backpacker mentality. How many uses can I get out of that? How much does it weigh? And so, and again, it goes back to, you're not really, I'm not sacrificing anything is what I'm saying. I'm always warm, dry, and ready to go. And it's so much easier to stay organized in a smaller, lighter camp than it is with a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, a whole bunch of stuff rolling around.
Yeah, and that I learned that when I was very young. That a lot of stuff is just too much stuff.
Yeah,
and I understand, like, if the old, like, if you don't, better to have it, not need it. I just feel like if you don't have it, you probably don't need it.
Right.
You make do with something.
Yeah.
You just can't.
It rarely is it a life and death situation,
Right.
like that. I forgot my spoon. Oh no, the camp trip's over.
We're done.
Yeah. You can make some
Yeah.
chopsticks, like the ones you've got in your kitchen over here.
Yeah, I'd like to show this, if you don't mind, real quick.
Yeah,
This is a very practical thing I learned from the backpacking community probably 20 years ago. This was a Foster's beer can, and the only reason I'm mentioning that name is because they make their stuff just a little bit thicker, and it ends up being like a large amount of liquid or stuff you can boil. But with a simple safety can opener, you can drink straight off of it. It's rounded edges, nothing sharp. And you got a little lid. Put a little bale, or whatever you like. And this thing has seen countless fires and trips, and it's so light. If you were to put this with like a Super Cat little stove from a fancy feast? I don't eat cat food.
Fancy feast.
Yeah, I should start eating more cat food. I would forget the name. You get a nice little cook kit, and you can still put some denatured alcohol for the backpacker community.
What? How long? You said this is your second one or something like that. How long did you have the one before that?
Oh wow.
Just guess.
Now, I didn't know we were going to get into higher math.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a test. More than 10 years.
So you carried around this thing right here. This is a beer can.
This is only 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. This is 5 or 6 years old. But you had like a 10-year-old one before that.
I did, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was the grandfather.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's something this simple will boil your water. It's rigid enough where you could still scoop and dig stuff up like ashes if you had to, or coals if you had to transfer fire.
And how do you keep it from getting smashed in your pack and stuff?
It's kind of I'm always learning different ways, but packing it with like something like food or coffee or maybe some cheese,
your socks.
whatever, something to give it a little bit of, a little strength, so it's not always getting caved in, and just just kind of put in the front, a little bit of care, but not much.
Yeah. Would you? So you told us that your base kit's under 5 pounds. when you say,
There you insult me. Hey,
come
whoa.
on, hey,
This is an amateur hour.
What a
That's,
4.5 pounds. What was it?
Thank you,
Thank you,
man.
4.5 pounds.
About
so, and when tell me what base kit for people that don't know. What does
Sure.
that mean? What's base kit?
Non-replenishables, just your core kit that you can always, it's always ready to go. And after that, like maybe I would say food, water, you can't really put that in your base kit.
Yeah.
Then that's like your pack weights.
Yeah.
And then what you wear plus your pack weight and your food is what they call skin out. From your skin outward, how much is that weight? So there's a lot of ways to gauge it.
Yeah.
But just your base gear is like the gear in here I can use in many places. A lot of people are like, I'm a 2-season camper or 3. I like to consider myself a 4. It's just I hate the heat and going out. So I seem to do less in the summer when I think people do more.
Yeah.
That's just me. But just the bag that you can grab that has, you don't need to go like repacking gear. It's like my bag's ready to go. It's always ready to go.
Right.
Tell me where we're gonna go, and
I'm ready. I'm packed.
I'll either put another fleece.
I
in
love
there or
that.
something.
Yeah,
It makes it simple.
I love that feeling of like, hey, you want to go camping? I'm ready right now. Like,
Yeah.
like that.
How much do you
I'll
need to
throw a
pack?
jar of peanut butter in there and I'll be I'm
Right.
set. Yeah,
Which is funny because
Yeah.
your camp gear,
yeah,
well, that's a different story.
yeah. Totally different.
It is. We'll have to get into that series.
Similar in a lot of
That's
ways.
next level.
Yeah, but different.
Other
It's
level.
Totally
Right.
next. I plop like
Yeah.
this dog here.
And it's important in your sleep system. People always think, oh, you're going to give up this, you're going to give up that. And I can almost guarantee everybody, this is going to sound stupid to say, but I always feel like I'm going to have a better night's sleep.
Yeah.
Just because my sleep setup hasn't changed much
Right.
since 2000.
And you're accustomed to it too. Like, you're used to this.
I
right?
started using this tarp I like.
Can we
'cause
just
it's light.
go over here and
Oh, you want to
sort through?
It's like, yeah.
Like,
we
I
call
want
it
a tour.
Cribs?
Yeah.
Want to do that?
Let's get a tour.
If we must. Come on, Doggles. You can come too. Share real simple.
So let's
stuff.
start from the top and work our way down. What do you think?
Yeah. So something to sleep under. Tarp. I like to put this up first. I've been using this for several years. It's Cold Cracker Bushcraft T60, and it's not an emergency tarp. It's more like a tarp you can just camp with and backpack. Weighs about 6.5 ounces. Has a couple of tie outs. You can just tie this out, peg it down. You're ready to go. If it's raining, you can fix your other stuff up behind it. So something to sleep under, something to sleep on. This is again a backpacker's thing. Torso pad, closed cell. I've had this for over 20 years, and I use a frameless pack. So this becomes my pack liner, and I pack. Whatever you call it.
Your frame,
You know,
essentially.
the frame.
The pad on your that
Right.
touches your back. Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of sets you up for the
Yeah,
rest of your gear.
because this pack is like super minimal and light.
right.
If you don't have that, like the little tidbits and stuff are going to be like jabbing you.
It'd be weird, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
uncomfortable.
Makes it more rigid. Something
Yeah.
to sleep on, right? Something to sleep on. Something to sleep in. Bivy bag. This is the kind of bivy bag that you would sleep in camp, and not like the emergency one that are sweat lodges. And then I have a homemade quilt. It just goes down to like 40 degrees.
Yeah, show me that. Bring that out there.
Oh, right. It's got a foot pocket.
You made this.
I made this because I couldn't find one as wide as I want. Real simple. It was just a big like rectangle with a foot pocket I sewed in. A couple of snaps.
So it's a blanket. It's basically a blanket
Right.
with a pocket for your feet to stick in.
Right.
Right.
And then just kind of wraps around you if you want to snap it,
Yeah.
or a drawstring to. But I don't have to mess with that too much. And it weighs 10 ounces for 40 degrees. How do you expand it down to 20? Yeah, layers of clothing. So
It's a 40-degree bag essentially by itself. And
well, it's not
in
a
con-
bag. It's more of a. They call it backpacker's quilt or a blanket.
blanket, yeah.
It goes up
But
to
in
here.
conjunction with your pad,
Right.
Right? Because there's no insulation on the back of your sleeping bag. Why is
Exactly. Because you don't need anything under you is very compressed and it's almost doing you no good. And you learn that after a long time of sleeping bags that are turn over, you've been laying on it, and now you're kind of cold for a while because the baffles don't get a chance to fill up. So insulation under me with layers of clothing.
Yeah.
That's like a sleep system, I would say, for me. Go really light with the backpack. This empty, this Gossamer gear. Love their stuff. Been using it for a while. A lot of expeditions with this, multi-day. And empty, it's about 6 ounces. I used to go lighter than that, but
But come on.
making up. I know. And then my pack liner is a garbage bag that cinches up, and I really just have.
It's your dry bag.
Here's my rain gear, if
Rain
even that. I'm a big fan of chopsticks because they're, simple.
Yeah.
Simple's best. and just something like some medication, a toothbrush, moleskin for blisters. I haven't gotten a blister in a long time. Should probably take it out and save. What do you think?
Save some weight.
Gram? Maybe
Honestly,
save a gram?
honestly, is this amateur hour? I mean, what are you doing?
Right. I've had this one for this Ziploc for 10 years, but other ones I've had for a lot longer.
Yeah, we patch that one up and keep it going.
That's pretty much my gear.
That's pretty much it. And then that's your water.
Right. It's rolled.
And what else do you do with that?
It makes a really good pillow. And you put it on top of your shoes.
I do the same
use your
thing.
pillow.
Yeah.
And if you're in a lot of freezing conditions, it won't freeze as much.
Yeah.
Because it's closer to you.
Yeah.
And it also won't make you cold.
Yeah.
So something like this had the hose kind, but in the winter it freezes.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of this thing you're always playing with and
And are you in that big
positioning.
of a hurry that you have to be like, you
No,
can't
right,
stop and drink out of
right.
your bag? Yeah.
And you get these like little sips, which is okay, but sometimes you want like to be able to gulp
it.
So for me, this makes sense. It's very flat, and I think it's one of the lightest things. I think it is the lightest bag you can use that carries like 2 liters.
Yeah.
And yeah, for water purification, I just use very simple iodine. It is worked everywhere,
Yeah.
and yet to have
Super
anything
easy.
crazy. This is your bath, mini bath.
Little, was that hand sanitizer?
Hand sanitizer. If your feet are wet all the time, give yourself a little alcohol bath, and it takes the moisture out of your skin. Try it. You can, fight off jungle foot, trench foot a little bit.
Yeah.
But it also makes you just feel a little cleaner, like at the end of the day when you're like kind of settling down. It's like your
Yeah.
little bath. Pretty much I think that's all my gear.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's awesome. So we're in Colorado right now, and temperatures were, what do you think, like 30, 35 last night, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
It was cold. It was cold, and it was like we were in a cloud all
Yeah.
night long,
Right.
and there was a little bit of a breeze all night long,
so-
Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah.
Give or take.
yeah,
Yeah,
we were
something-
in a cloud, so it was misty,
Yeah.
wet.
Yeah.
Nasty. Yeah. So
Something else to remember real quick is my primary tool is very simple. This, depending on where I'm going, I'll either take a long blade or a fixed blade, but mostly this is it. And when you have one tool, it's very important. If you have 3 tools, and maybe you're not too worried about it, but maintaining your tools.
you got a Swiss Army knife and a machete usually.
Some kind of long blade,
Yeah.
depending on where I'm at. But this little tool I've been using, this is my second version. Really helps you keep stuff sharp. It's very simple, and thin, sharp blade.
What is that?
This is Wazoo, and this is the whetstone, Viking whetstone. The striker. I found out this is excellent for taking nicks out of like your blade, like the other day. And with the fire starter, and this is my second one because the other one was just so clogged.
Yeah.
It had a lot of use. But the idea is if you keep your tool sharp, you don't need to go down to like a really rough stone. You can just keep honing it, and every time you use it, just give it a little tap, whiskey.
Little tap tap.
Yeah, and then you
little
don't need
tap,
to go to a river stone and grind it. So that's something that's simple. You can keep on you, and you don't need like a big stone. I think even if you had an axe and it was good and sharp, you can keep it sharp just by honing and not really.
Unless you
get to
smack it
that-
on a rock or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And even then, that's not gonna. The tool is still usable.
Right,
You can
right.
Deal with that at some other time.
Yeah.
So it's just a simple kit, and most of the time I have a base layer, fleece, and
And your
Mexican
panchito.
poncho. And,
Yeah.
Well, it's not waterproof or anything. It's acrylic and nylon, and we had a lot of mist yesterday up there, and it just dries really fast. They're easy to get, and it's
Yeah.
something I
What are your
wear.
thoughts on waterproof gear, like Gore-Tex and all that
right.
stuff?
The way you use it, I think it's great. It serves a purpose. I'd much rather just have trail runners that are going to dry faster, and every step I'm going to squish some of that out.
Yeah.
And these are just Adidas trail runners.
Simple guy.
Yeah, these are the heavier ones. This is like, hey,
Heavy duty.
can't hide money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're waterproof because I thought just stepping in the creek or something, or if I thought it might rain a lot, but most of the time lighter mesh stuff. In the jungle or tropical places where they don't have the black palm, I'm just using simple Crocs. I brought the Crocs.
Those are your
just to
combat
wear.
Crocs?
Combat Crocs. Yeah, combat, cage fighting.
What's in
whatever.
the dog poop bag?
Let's talk about the dog poop bag.
Let's. I've been waiting patiently to talk about
These
the
little
dog
things are
poop bag.
amazing for if you have dirty dishes or like a dirty skillet you can just put in there. And just like a quick waterproofing. I hate if you put electronics in something really like Ziploc-y tight, you probably get a little moisture in
You
there.
trap the moisture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just having it breathe, but it's still okay.
That's cool.
So this is just a simple lean-to. I like simple lean-tos. I've used them in all kinds of weather in different places.
So you're in Colorado right now. Where's your
Right.
next big trip?
Back to the Wazoo headquarters.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the big trip. But where
Yeah.
from there? What's the next big?
I don't know if I have anything big planned until we'll see.
You don't know
I'm
yet.
not really sure. No, but I'm not a good planner. I'll just kind of be like, hey, I think I take about 10 days off and see what.
You were in Asia
Right,
before
right.
this, right? Somewhere.
Right. Yeah. I was
Where
in
were you?
Taiwan.
Taiwan.
For about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And came back here.
And you took the same stuff.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different, but yeah, kind of similar. Also, one thing to mention is having good head covering. It's real important. Some kind of hat.
Yeah.
Something to keep the heat in. It's
This-
part of the sleep system.
This is your baby alpaca.
super baby.
Super baby.
alpaca, Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's alpaca. This is the baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super baby alpaca. That's.
Oh, that you can't
Now
hide money
you're
then.
spending. Now you're going out. Yeah. So that's the base of the kit. It's not glamorous, but I don't need much more. You know. I don't,
Yeah.
My comfort item is probably my gaiters.
Right.
Just because they keep all the debris out of your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never wear gaiters, but I like the idea of them. I just never have incorporated into my
Small
kit.
gators. They don't bite as hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, duct tape.
It took me a second too.
It's a fast moving show.
Yeah. Try to keep up. Try to keep
Yeah,
up.
I mean that's really I can't think of anything that I don't use that I didn't show.
Yeah.
Day hiking stuff is a different thing.
Okay.
This is like do a trip backpacking. I can just throw it up and whatever happens.
Yeah.
just roll
This is
with
when
it.
you're really loaded for bear. You know, when you
Yeah,
need it
when you're
all.
ready, yeah.
You got it all.
I could take the same configuration and drop one bit to the end and stake it down. That's
Yeah.
kind of like a plow point.
Yeah.
It's simple. I mean, no
That's
one's
good,
ever
man.
going to say, "Hey, I want that gear."
Yeah.
But I don't really. I don't think I have anything like that. It's glamorous or
But it
cool.
works.
I like what works.
That's great, man.
That's it.
Now,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing your
Man.
thanks for sharing
Thanks for
your
letting me.
gear list with us and your philosophy on
Right.
packing and whatnot. That's cool.
Anytime.
You're a very unique individual, and I appreciate learning from
The
you.
word is odd.
Odd.
Yeah.
You are an enigma. Jason, where are we?
We're at Chapman Ranch in Colorado.
What are we doing here?
We're trying not to die.
What do you typically do here besides not die?
Definitely don't die. So we have 2 locations here in Colorado. About 30 minutes to the north of us, we've got what I call main camp, OG camp. I started off with 10 acres up there.
Like 10,000 feet?
Yeah, 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
Running the survival school. We grew that 10 acres to 100 acres up there. And then I bring students down here to the Chapman Ranch and would use the back 40 to do more of our, I guess you could say our advanced courses, because it's really rugged. You know, we're in the mountains of Colorado. We've got all sorts of different terrains. You can see cliffs over here. We got pine, we got juniper, we got aspen, you know, nice stream that rolls through. But the Chapman Ranch is 4,500 acres. And it's surrounded by, I would probably say, about 1 million acres.
Million acres.
Million
and that's
acres
not
of
really a big
BLM.
exaggeration.
No,
but
it's not an
I'm not saying
exaggeration.
like it's 1 million acres. It really is like 1 million acres.
Right, yeah. I mean, it might be like
999.
5 or 6 or 700,000 acres, but it's a vast
lot.
majority of land.
Yeah.
And we own, I say we now, my business partner now bought the ranch, so now it's ours. It's not just me using the back 40. We have the full use of this 4,500 acres.
Of this amazing
Yeah,
place.
it's beautiful. And the nice thing is we have little segments of land that's scattered throughout that BLM, that 1 million acres, and we have easements to those parcels. So we can traverse through that land to go to our destinations out there in the middle of nowhere.
Amazingness.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There's just so much room to roam. I mean, you couldn't explore it all. Like it's so much. It's huge.
Yeah, and it's not just me. I can't teach everything, right? No one person can teach all the skills.
Yeah.
Anybody that claims to do that is.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I brought in a team of instructors when I first started out in 2000. I started doing this full time in 2015. I started the business in 2010. When I first started doing it, I was just consulting, right? Helping people build better bug out bag, spitter kit, very gear related, but I grew up doing this kind of stuff.
This is your hometown.
This is my hometown. Yeah, I grew up here from 4th grade on, graduated high school here, lived most of my life here. I live on the edge of the city now, but I still come up here to play. A lot of people think I'm former military. I'm not. I did 18 years IT. I was a computer geek, right? So I really associate well with, a huge amount of my clients that want to come do this because they feel comfortable with me.
Right.
I'm not this rah, let's go die in the woods.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do that,
We could do that.
We can do that.
We could accommodate that.
Because it's not just me. I go out and find the people
Yeah.
that people want to learn that certain skill from. So anyways, I grew it from me on 10 acres to me and about 16 instructors on about 5,000 acres.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Surrounded by 1 million acres. And we do everything. Right now I've got 50 some odd classes on the calendar for the summer. I've got navigation and medical and bushcrafting and foraging and your core survival skills, food, fire, shelter, water. And
Yeah.
I've got classes where you just will come out here with a goat and we'll live off the land with the goat has to sustain us for a week.
Yeah.
It just depends. If you want to do it, I've got an instructor that'll teach you.
That could accommodate you.
Yeah,
And you got the space to.
Yeah, we got
to do
this. I could literally run all 16 instructors down here all at the same time, and they would never see each other.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's incredible.
But we do corporate events. We do, retreats. We do team building. We're trying to get into, like wilderness therapy.
Yeah.
So with the land that we have, the sky's the limit, and with the resources, the networking, I know so many great people that want to do so many great things,
Yeah.
and just help people and get them outdoors. My biggest goal, I think, is take the scary out of survival.
You're not gonna die.
You're not gonna die.
You'll be okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to break people.
Yeah.
My goal is not to break people. I'm trying to push them to their limit and then have them push just past it a little bit so they can see that they can go a little bit further. And I'm there as a safety net to reel them back in so they realize that they can go a little bit further.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they step outside their comfort zone. But I'm there.
They're not gonna die.
They're not going to die.
Yeah,
They're okay.
That's rule number 1.
Yeah. Rule number 1 is, does it look cool?
Okay. Rule number 2. Don't die.
Don't die.
That's right. Well, this is probably my 4th time here, maybe. I'm not sure, but maybe 4th time here. And every time I come here, it's just like I am just amazed at the grandeur of it all. You climb up on, like we were up on that peak there the other day. You just look around at the vast expanse of it all, and you've got it all to yourself, And
Right,
that's
yeah.
literally, I mean, you just like,
Yeah. If anybody's here, it's one of my people,
Yeah.
right? Would belong here. If it's somebody they don't belong here.
Yeah.
They're trespassing.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're out in this vast, rugged area, and it's ours.
Yeah.
And we play 95% of the time. We play by our rules.
Yeah.
We make the rules, and we can do for the most part
Yeah, that's
what we
awesome.
want.
Yeah.
I mean, there are limits. It's
Don't burn the place down.
Yeah, don't burn
Sure.
the place down,
Yeah.
and we can't hunt and
Out of season and stuff, yeah.
and we can't trap and stuff like that. But you stay within the state and the federal guidelines.
Everything else?
We can do whatever we want. We don't have to worry about anybody else telling us what we can and can't do.
Well, I appreciate you letting us come play.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad you guys came out
Yeah.
here, and yeah, hopefully you'll be back again.
I will be. I will be back. We're actually talking about doing the family road trip again.
Yeah.
How we drove here.
Right?
It's a possibility
Yeah, bring
that
it
we
out.
might come
Yeah,
hang
that's-
out again.
Yeah, I think that's something I like and take pride into is we're like do a lot of family friendly programs.
Yeah.
We start with 5-year-old kids. We have kid related classes,
Mhm.
and we don't hold back. We're not out here crocheting or doing paper masks or what out here in the woods. We actually teach 5-year-old kids how to use a knife properly, how to start a fire, how to do wayfinding or navigation. We're doing practical survival skills at their age level.
Yeah.
So that, they need to know it. And then we work our way all the way up to, 5-year-olds, preteens, teens, families, Singles, corporate, and we're doing all the way up to the military special forces.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do it all.
Big time.
Big time.
Yeah,
all of it.
that's awesome, man.
And worldly adventurers.
Yeah.
So, and from people that have never been in the woods before, where there wasn't a street light,
Yep.
up to worldly adventurers.
To the
into-
guys that spend over 100 nights a year sleeping like that.
This guy.
That guy.
Not that he needs any, but it's a different environment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You always different places
Different challenges,
brings
struggles,
different
yeah.
challenges, and you can test your gear. You can see
Yeah.
what works, what doesn't, what new skills you pick up new.
I love it.
The flora, the fauna, or different resources. Because
Yeah.
everywhere you go is slightly different. And people are always asking, how do I know when I go somewhere whether it's a cottonwood tree or if I can use the cottonwood tree to start a fire or whatever? I'm like, you're not looking for a cottonwood tree.
Yeah.
You're looking
Properties.
for something that has the properties of that tree.
Yeah.
Something you can break down, or soft wood, or the fibrous bark, or fibrous grass, or you can work into a
Yeah.
tinder, or it's easy to carve on a spoon, or yeah.
You don't need to know the name of every plant on earth.
You don't. I don't know the name of every plant, but you go from the mountains of Colorado to the swampy areas or whatever, the Midwest, to the real swamps of Florida, to the jungles of Costa Rica, to the deserts of Arizona or whatever. You don't need to know all that specific plants. You just need to look for a type of plant
Yeah.
that does what you need to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about eating plants,
Little
it's a whole different story.
Little
You-
different.
You need to know what you're shoving in your mouth, but you can still use the plants and the resources to catch the proteins. Right.
Yeah.
And you can eat any protein that's
Yeah.
out there. I don't know if I'd eat it bad, but COVID.
Cook it good enough,
No,
right?
I'm kidding.
Little salt and pepper.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything tastes good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're looking for the properties.
That's right.
And I can teach you that
Yeah, absolutely.
wherever we're at.
Well, cool, man. I probably rambled on and off. This is probably like a 40-minute video.
You're going to cut 90%.
Yeah,
of it
that's
anyway,
fine. Yeah,
so.
most of the stuff you said is not gonna make it. All right, friends, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Thumbs up, clicking, subscribing, do all the buttons and stuff. I really do appreciate it. Look into the Survival University,
Yeah, and the Chapman Ranch.
Chapman Ranch. Yeah, if you want to come do activities out here in the mountains of Colorado, this is your man. Reuben, how do people find you? How can people, if people want to
here tonight.
Well, yeah, but not in a literal sense. If
Yeah.
people want to follow you and see what you're up to,
right, just Instagram, just
Yeah.
my name at Reuben.
Spell your name.
Bodier. So it's REUBEN, last name BOLIEU. It's like I'm almost thinking about how do I spell my name.
it's a tricky one.
I didn't know it was gonna be
Yeah.
a test.
I spell it wrong every time. Yeah.
Yeah. At Reuben
But
Bodier.
yeah, if you want to follow this guy around on his adventures and stuff, that's the place to do it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Really do appreciate it. Until next time, what's the worst that could happen? Just go on 3.